This calcareous marl formed deep beneath the sea in the Eocene era has an alkaline soil of a pH of approximately 8.7 blah blah blah.
Hi, I'm Michele Ciani.
And this is Wayne.
And welcome to 2 Minutes on the Soil of Colli Orientali del Friuli.
Let's talk dirty. Okay. Let's make this a little bit more simple. What does all this geology have to do with wine? Whenever we talk about wine, we always talk about soil. But we never really ask, what does this have to do with the wine itself? Let's look specifically at the soil of Aquila del Torre and Colli Orientali and how they affect the wines.
Known as Flèche di Cormons, ponka locally, the geological name for the soil here is calcareous marl.
Let's break it down.
All marl means is a mix of rock and clay. Nothing tricky, but it's very, very important. Rock is important for draining excess water. Clay is important for retaining, but not too much when the weather gets soggy.
Having just enough water means the vines keep growing and ripening, and not going into stress, which stalls the ripening process, but not so much that the grapes become filled with water and the wine becomes diluted. The calcareous part means that the soil has a really good component of the element of calcium.
Here you can see the calcium, and to the other side the color of flèche.
But why is that important? First, many of the great wines in the world are produced on soils that have a high calcium content. Think Burgundy and Champagne. So if you've seen those two soils mentioned, it all comes back to calcium.
Calcium equals richness and body together.
Both chalk and limestone are also really famous for high calcium content.
So having the mix of the two, it's important for the vines to have the water they need it.
In the wines, calcium in the soil, through a very complex process, gives the wines more breadth and more body. In white wines, especially in northern growing areas, we get a greater sense of weight and power on the palate. As an example, if you think of the wines from Alto Adige, which are grown on a soil that's based on granite, the wines are very good, but they're a little bit thinner and a little bit more vertical. They have less body and less fat, even if the climate is a bit warmer than the climate in Friuli. The last thing to keep in mind when we talk about ponka is its color. Why is that important? Well, we all know dark colors absorb more heat and lighter colors reflect more heat. With ponka's light color, the heat is reflected, and just below the surface, the soil remains cool, slowing down the vigorous energy of the vine, lengthening the ripening time on the vine, not just developing more sugar, but more complexity as well. Cooler soil also lets the air cool more quickly, allowing the vines to cool and allowing them to rest and develop more aromas. So, when you hear us talk about calcareous marl, you know that it's rich in calcium. Calcium means body and richness. Rocks and clay ensure the right balance of water in the soil. The lighter color of the soil means longer hang time and more complex aromas. And there it is, your 2 minutes on the soil of Colli Orientali del Friuli.